Alright, welcome back to MTG Life, everyone. We're going to do another Commander deck tech, and I may do a second video today. It depends upon what goes on throughout the rest of my day and such, if I got plenty of time to do it. The next card we have here is for our Commander deck tech. It's one I actually finished last night at like midnight. So, yeah. And that is Jor Kadeen, the Prevailer. He's a white and 1 red and 3 generic mana for a 5/4 Human Warrior with First Strike. So first off, for 5 mana, 5/4 with First Strike is really good first off anyways. And he also has Metalcraft. Creatures you control get +3/+0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. We're running like pretty much 20 to 25 artifacts in this entire deck. So he's going to most likely be completely activated by the time you get him out. We're running mainly equipments and auras because you'll understand why in a few minutes with the auras. But we're running really low on creatures. We're running 17 to 20 creatures in this entire deck, including our legendaries and all that. So his ability helps offset that, because by the time he comes out, we're gonna have at least 3 artifacts. So it helps offset with our creatures for having very low curve of creatures by buffing them. +3. We have other cards in here that help buff them as well, with the equipments and auras, so kind of offsets it, but we're trying to keep our creatures alive because if we lose all our creatures, we no longer have anything to attack with. So we're running a bit more of a risk on this deck by having such low creatures, and it's red-white, and we're not running any kind of protection or anything really. We're just trying to run them over with our equipped creatures and enchanted creatures. And to help do that, the next card we have is Shram, Senior Edificer. He's a white and 1 generic mana for a 2/2 Dwarf Advisor. With whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. We're not running vehicles, but we are running auras and equipment. So we're running like anywhere from 30 to 35 auras and equipments in this deck. And like I said, with the 17 creatures, and then we have like 40 lands in the entire deck. So we're running really more heavy on that, and with him being a 2-drop, get him out turn 2 if we have him, and then start drawing every time we cast one of these. And we'll be able to do that a little bit more easier with this next legendary, which is Denethor, Capuchin Paragon. White and 2 generic mana for a 2/2 Human Knight with First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. First off, 3 mana for a 2/2 with all those is really good anyways. And then aura and equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Double her up with Shram. I mean, if they're both in your opening hand, turn 2 Shram, turn 3 Denethor, turn 4 possibly 2 artifacts or enchantments, maybe 3. I mean, it really helps out. She makes them cheaper. She makes it easier. She makes it more useful to use them. And then with Shram, we're drawing for these cheap stuff, and then possibly playing more stuff even cheaper again and drawing again. So when we get the mana, we can really go on a thing where we're just casting them and equipping and then drawing even more. He really helps out with this kind of deck. The next card we run in here was originally supposed to be in his own commander deck, but I decided to splash white in and use a different commander because I was having difficulty just trying to get him to go by himself. So this other card is Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. He's a red and 2 generic mana for a 3/2 Human Shaman with at the beginning of combat on your turn for each aura and equipment attached to Valduk, Keeper of Flame, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of your next end step. Okay, let's talk about him. Is pretty much we're going to play him out. We're going to equip him with whatever we got and create as many tokens as possible when we attack, and just wreck them up. And they're going to have to block Valduk. Odds are they'll probably try to double block or triple block him. We're going to really attack him whenever we can really give him a high toughness, so that we can hope that he won't die. Which with some of our equipments will already help do that as well. We have things that give us +0, +3 and such, and vigilance and double strike and stuff like that. So we're really hoping to make it so that he's really powerful, that they try to block him and not the tokens, and hopefully not be able to kill him by blocking him. The best idea is to not give them something that will give them trample, so that they'll feel free to block him, or give him trample so that they'll feel, because if he doesn't have trample, they'll feel like, okay, I can just chump block him for a little while, and it lets us keep making tokens and getting a little more damage. Or if you can just give them trample, they'll hopefully try to like block with a lot more, and more damage will get through with the tokens. It's kind of a little iffy thing on either one. The next card here is one that you don't really need, but we use it to offset blockers and yeah. It's Prevailer. She's a red and 2 generic mana for a 2/2 human artificer with, whenever she enters battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact token with flying. Her next ability we're not really going to use as much. You can, but we're not running as many artifact creatures, so it's still relevant, just not as relevant as it should be. It's red and 1 generic for target artifact gets +1/+0 until end turn. Now it's the other ability that we're probably going to use more. It's going to be a red, sacrifice an, not a red, it's going to be just 1 mana of any color, sacrifice an artifact, target creature can't block this turn. Okay, so what we're doing with this card here is we're going to have plenty of artifacts to sacrifice. Not that we want to sacrifice a lot of them, but it gives us a chance to keep someone from blocking. Like, say, if we want to attack with our commander, and they got this big monster over there, we can just make it so that it can't block and the damage gets through. Or attack with Koldak, make him unblock, make sure that their biggest creature that could eat him can't block him. Now we're going to go into our rares, and the first rare we have is Daring Archaeologist. He's a white and 3 generic mana for a 3/3 human artificer. A lot of people, when they first saw this card and whenever they pull it still, like, this is a very bad card. It sucks, it's bulk, it's not useful at all, and they're like, ugh, every time they pull it. It's not bad, especially not in this kind of deck. It just needs the right deck, and in this deck it has the right deck. Because it has, when it enters battlefield, you may return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand, couple that up with Prevailer, sacrifice an artifact, then bring it back. And then whenever you cast a historic spell, put a 1/1 counter on Daring Archaeologist. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. We're not running sagas, but we are running plenty of artifacts and legendaries. We're running, at least including legendaries and artifacts together, at least 30. So he's going to have plenty of chances to activate. And if you get him out early on, and with SRAM drawing us cards and Danitha making the artifacts cheaper, it's going to be really easy to activate his ability and get him going. He'll easily get these 1/1 counters, and if your opponents don't kill him early on, he can become a very big threat, especially when he starts getting equipped with stuff. So the next rare we have is Haunted Plate Mail. It's 4 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +4/+4. 0 until end of turn. Haunted Plate Mail becomes a 4/4 spirit artifact creature that's no longer an equipment. Activate this ability only if you control no creatures. Okay, so this here helps. This here helps offset the low creature curve, because here's an equipment that can become a creature, that can become a blocker or an attacker. Also, if you and you can pay 4 to equip. So if you just equip it to the only creature you have and they kill the creature, they may forget about it and attack, and you can block and do whatever. So even if they kill, say, the only creature you have on the field, you still have a creature because it's trading out for another creature. Now the next card we have in here is one that can do a lot of stuff for you. I'm probably going to butcher the first part of the name, is Davenant Trapper? So white, 2 generic mana for a 3/2 human archer with, whenever you cast a historic spell, tap target creature an opponent controls. Like I said, we're going to have plenty of, like, somewhere around 30 ways to have. We're going to have basically 30 cards to activate this card's ability. Odds are it's going to activate more than once, especially if they don't remove the card, and eventually we can just equip it and attack in. So the next card we have is Weapons Trainer. He's a white-red for a 3/2. First off, that's good for 2 mana. Human soldier ally. Other creatures you control get +1/+0 as long as you control an equipment. First off, that's really good. Couple that up with Jor Kadeen. If these are both on the field, all our creatures are getting +4/+0. So that really helps offset the low creatures because with Jor Kadeen, out and Weapons Trainer and 3 artifacts, and they're all going to be equipments, Jor Kadeen here himself becomes a 9/4 with First Strike. That's a 9/4 with First Strike, commander damage, all that good ooey gooey stuff going on there. It's really useful. Now the next card we have is Kazel's Troll Collector. He's a red and 2 generic mana for a 3/2 Ogre Warrior. Pay 0, attach a target equipment you control to Kazel's Troll Collector. Activate this ability only anytime you cast a sorcery. Okay, this card's really amazing in this deck. I'm just going to straight up say that. In this kind of deck, he almost equals rare status, possibly mythic status, because of how, like I said, we're running like 20 to 25 equipments in this deck. We're running a lot of equipments, and with Shram drawing us into more of them, Danitha making them cheaper, we're gonna have plenty out by the time he comes out. Even if he's not in our opening hand, there's gonna be plenty. And even if he is in our opening hand and we put him down as soon as we can, every time we play another equipment, we can immediately attach it for no mana, which gives us the ability to be able to go back in and just play more artifact equipments and then equip them. It just gives us the chance. And with Danitha making them cheaper, we're not paying for the equipment costs. So we're paying like 1 or 2 mana for all these equipments to just basically put them onto a creature for free. So he could easily go over 10 power turn he comes out. So the next card we have is kind of like him. Well, not kind of like him, but kind of like Bolduc. But it's Brood Keeper. It's a red and 3 generic mana. I don't know if y'all can... Nah, never mind. For a 2/3 human shaman, whenever an aura becomes attached to Brood Keeper, put a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. It has pay a red. This creature gets +1/+0 until end turn. She helps offset the low creature curve we have as well. So if you have her in your hand, play her out, and then start equipping your attaching your enchantments to her, just to get those tokens to block with. Then that's more stuff we can just equip artifacts to. Reckless Fireweaver. It's a red and 1 generic mana for a 1/3. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. First off, he's going to become targeted, especially when your opponents realize how cheap we're playing all these cards, how easily we're getting to them, and how much damage it's going to eventually start doing to them. Because it's 1 damage to each opponent, which is going to easily rack up. By the time they decide to finally get rid of him, he could possibly have dealt 5 damage to each opponent without attacking. So the next card we have here is Molten Nursery. It's a red and 2 generic mana for an enchantment. It has the void, so it's colorless. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, Molten Nursery deals 1 damage to target creature or player. This card as well can get out of hand. We got plenty of colorless stuff to play. Our artifacts will activate this here very quickly. And the next card we have is Frantic Salvage, which is a white and 3 generic mana for an instant. Put any number of target artifact cards from your graveyard on top of your library, draw a card. So first off, the reason why we're running this in here is because if your opponents decide to do some kind of artifact hate on you, do something that board wipes all artifacts, we have a card in here that can still let us go back and get them. Or if you've been playing like Pia Nalar's Sacrifice an Artifact ability, it just means that those artifacts aren't forever out of our reach. We can still go back and get them. So, but in relation to that, if you were deciding, which means that coupled with this card, it can be useful with Pia Nalar's ability, which is Scrapyard Salvo. which is 2 red and 1 generic for a sorcery, which is it deals damage to target player equal to the number of artifact cards in your graveyard. So there's no telling how much damage it could do. It could do like anywhere from 3 damage to 10 or 15 damage. But if you couple it up with PNLR, Frantic Salvage, Scrapyard Salvo, and Makeshift Munitions here all go well together. So red, 1 generic mana for an enchantment, you pay 1, sacrifice an artifact or creature, deals 1 damage to target creature or player. You can really just start doing stuff. The next card is Workshop Assistant. It's 3 generic mana for a 1/2 artifact creature construct, which is when it dies, you return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Just lets you go back and get another artifact. I mean, you could easily play it and sacrifice it with the Makeshift Munitions or PNLR. Excavation Element, which is a 4 generic mana and 1 white for a 3/5 elephant, which has Kicker, which is a white and 1 generic, so total of 7 mana for when it enters battlefield. If it was kicked, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. It's a big blocker as well. I mean, it's got a big butt, and then if we equip it with more stuff that lets it block more creatures and gives it bigger toughness, it can become a blocker that can basically block for us the whole time. Now the next card is Sunspear Shikari, which is a white and 1 generic mana for a 2/2 cat soldier. As long as it is equipped, it has first strike and lifelink. Which, of course, if we play this out and we equip it immediately, it's going to get equipped really soon. So we're going to get more into our Metalcraft cards and abilities and stuff, which we're going to start out with Concussive Bolt, which is 2 red and 3 generic mana for a sorcery, which is it deals 4 damage to target player. If you control 3 or more artifacts, that creatures that player can't block controls that. If you control 3 or more artifacts, creatures that player control can't block this turn. Yeah, it's 5 mana for 4 damage, but you're going to be able to activate its other ability with Metalcraft, which means creatures they control can't block. I mean, it's really useful. You're going to activate these Metalcraft abilities no matter what. Next card in here is Ardent Recruit, which is 1 white for a 1/1 human soldier. Metalcraft, it gets +2/+2 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. If he's not in your opening hand, by the time you get to him, he's going to come into play as a 1-drop 3/3, and then you can equip something to him. It's not bad. Next card is Razorfield Rhino. It's a 6-drop for a 4/4 artifact creature Rhino. Metalcraft, it gets +2/+2 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. He's gonna basically be a 6-drop 6/6. Now, the next card we have is Blade Tribe Berserkers, which is a red and 3 generic mana for a 3/3 human berserker with Metalcraft. When it enters battlefield, if you control 3 or more artifacts, it gets +3/+3 and gains haste until end of turn. So that means for 4 mana, odds are he's going to come into play as a 6/6 with haste, equip some equipment to him, and then just deal some damage. Next card is Snap Cell Glider, which is 3 generic mana for a 2/2 artifact creature construct. Metalcraft, it has flying as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. It's going to have flying, and it just gives us some evasion, so that if we want to, we can equip it to it, and odds are most people don't run flying or reach or something like that. So we'll be able to get in and deal damage. Next card we have is Oryx Sunchaser, which is 1 white and 1 generic mana for a 1/1 human soldier with Metalcraft. As long as you control 3 or more artifacts, he gets +2/+2 and has flying. So it's 2 mana for a 3/3 flyer. Come on, people, it's not that bad. And I want to just go ahead and say this. These aren't the best cards in the world. They're not something that's going to do something super awesome or some kind of great combo. It's only from my personal collection, and I don't go out and buy some super expensive stuff. So yeah, this stuff ain't going to be super expensive or super like that's totally OP and broken. Yeah. Now we're going into our enchantment aura stuff, which is Sage's Reverie. I think I pronounced that bad. It's morning, I can't think. It's a white and 3 generic mana for an enchantment aura with enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. So for one, it's automatic card draw. And then it doesn't matter if the stuff's not attached. The other auras don't have to be attached to the same creature as this. It's any aura that's attached to a creature. So it could possibly give your creature +5/+5 and draw you 5 cards for 4 mana. Not bad at all. Now the next card here is one we put in here for a little bit of flavor, and one that I'm definitely going to try to equip to Kolduck is Frenzied Rage, which is a red and 1 generic mana for an enchantment aura, which is enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 and has +2/+1 and has menace. My bad. Yeah. Just for a little bit of flavor stuff, equip it to him for some flavor to make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so the next card here is Flame Speaker's Will, which is 1 white, 1 red for enchantment aura. Enchant creature you control. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. If you do, destroy target artifact. You don't have to sacrifice it, and it also just gives you the fact that if your opponent has an artifact that you can't deal with, or that's just really wrecking you or bothering you, you can just deal damage, sack this, and then destroy it. It gives us a little bit of an option to deal with stuff like that. It gives us something to do. The next card is Messenger Speed, which is a red for enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature has trample and haste. It just helps out. So the next card here is Runes of Deus, which is a red and 4 generic mana for enchantment aura. Enchant creature. As long as enchanted creature is red, it gets +1/+1 and has double strike. That's the only reason why we run it. And the next card is Inferno Fist, which is a red and 1 generic mana for enchantment aura with enchant creature you control. Enchant creature gets +2/+0. Pay a red, sacrifice it. Inferno Fist deals 2 damage to target creature or player. It helps out, especially if you want to deal a little extra damage. So the next enchantment we have is Furor, I don't know if I said it right, of the Bitten. It's 1 red for enchantment aura. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 and attacks each turn if able. Attach it to Volduck. We're going to want to attack with him each and every single turn. So attach it to him. That's why it's there. Especially if you give him the Frenzied Rage, then he has menace and has to be blocked by at least 2 creatures. I mean, attach it to him. Okay, so the next enchantment is Dragon Grip. 1 red, 2 generic mana for an enchantment aura. Ferocious. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you may cast it as though it had flash. With the way we're equipping everything with enchanting, something's going to have power 4 or greater. So we can flash this in if we want to. Enchant creature gets +2/+0 and has first strike. So we can possibly do some damage with that. The next card we have here is Flowstone Blade. It's 1 red for enchantment aura. With enchant creature, pay a red, enchant creature gets +1/-1 until end of turn. So here's what's going to happen with this. We're going to basically equip it to a creature that has a very high toughness. And with the way we're equipping our enchantments and auras, odds are its toughness is going to be even higher, which means we can pay for its red ability even more. And remember, you can always pay for that right before damage is dealt. So you don't have to do it and then like attack. You can just attack and then if they don't block, pay it. So the next card is Claws of Valakut. It's 2 red and 1 generic mana for enchantment aura with enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 for each mountain you control and has first strike. So if you hard cast it, the enchant creature at least gets +2/+0 for 3 mana and first strike. Odds are unless this is in your opening hand, odds are you're going to have more mountains out, and if not, if you just play it from your opening hand, it's going to eventually get more it's going to get buffed more when you play more mountains. So it's something that can eventually get larger. So the next card is Taste for Mayhem. It's 1 red for an enchantment aura with enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +2/+0. Hellbent. Enchanted creature gets an additional +2/+0 as long as you have no cards in hand. So it's possible for us to basically run out our entire hand. It is possible. We tried to offset that with SRAM and some other stuff, but it is possible that we will run our entire hand out. Especially if we have Danitha out and not SRAM. So we'll be playing everything for cheaper, and pretty much we may just run out our entire hand. So for 1 mana, enchanted creature could get +4/+0. So the next card we have here is Fire Breathing. It's 1 red for enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Pay a red, enchant creature gets +1/+0 until end turn. Just gives us something else to pay mana for. Alright, so we're done with our enchantment auras, and we're moving into our equipments. We're going to have plenty of equipments. And the first one we have here is one that I really recommend. I use it in pretty much any commander deck because no one runs the cards that can block this and all that much, and it's pretty much free unblockable. Pretty much. It may change now that M19 spoiled that one Elder Dragon that does all the walls and defender stuff. So it's probably going to change now. And that is Prowler's Helm. So it's 2 generic mana for an artifact equipment with equipped creature can't be blocked except by walls. Pay 2 to equip. So first off, I run this in pretty much any commander deck because very few people play any walls. And there's very few decks that run any large amount of walls. So odds are of finding a wall, of an opponent having a wall is low, and then playing the wall is even lower. So pretty much, it's free unblockable. Now that may change now that this new legendary creature, Elder Dragons, come out that does stuff with walls. So there's probably going to be some wall decks coming out, more wall decks coming out a little bit more soon. But I play this in pretty much any commander deck because equip it to your commander is pretty much unblockable commander damage. I play one in my Hapatra commander deck so that her ability can activate, and then it's also better whenever you equip her with Fire Resistance, which is a 2-drop enchantment, and enchanted creature gets infect. So double that up, you're activating her ability because she's dealing damage, getting tokens, and dealing infect damage and commander damage, which altogether is a super great combo and is like a slap in the face of your opponent. So next card is I'm sorry, I'm just sitting here enjoying that. Next card here helps level off our low creature base, which is Sickle Ripper, which is 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment with Living Weapon. When this equipment enters battlefield, put a 0/0 black germ creature token onto the battlefield, then attach this to it. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. So it gives us a 2/2 creature pretty much, and you can pay 4 to equip. It just gives us another creature for a while, and then stuff can be equipped to that then as well. The next card is Chariot of Victory, which is 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment, which is as creature has first strike, trample, and haste, you pay 1 to equip. So with Danitha, this is possibly 2 mana, and then you equip for 1 to give creature a first strike, trample, and haste. Not bad, super useful. The equip cost is really low as well, which is really great. The next card is Dagger of the Worthy, which is 2 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has inflict 1. Whenever it becomes blocked, defending player loses 1 life. You pay 2 to equip. You're gonna really want to equip this to Voldic. Voldic. Equip it to him so that odds are he's gonna be giant and people are gonna want to block him, especially if he doesn't have trample. So they're really gonna block him. And at least this way they're still losing a life. It just gives you something extra to do. It gives a little extra oomph to it. At least then, if they chump block him, they're still going to lose a creature and a life, probably. So the next card we have here is Short Sword, which is 1 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equip creature gets +1/+1, equip 1. I really like this card, and I really like the artwork. They really hit the nail on Dominaria this time around with artwork and the stained glass stuff. I don't think they're going to top this soon. M19, they're trying to top it with creatures and all that stuff. I don't really see the artwork being like this or the storyline and such. We'll see how they're going to do in Ravnica, the return to Ravnica and such. We'll see how they do on that. I'm hoping that maybe they can equal Dominaria, but I don't see it. Sadly, they've just hit Ravnica too much. I mean, there was first time they went for the 3 blocks, and then the return to Ravnica set, and now we're going back for a 3rd time. I honestly think it's a mistake to go back for a 3rd time. I feel like they should go to a whole new plane, honestly, or something. But nah, they're not. I mean, I don't hate it, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do, and I'm like, okay, it's the final battle. We're going to see Nicol Bolas is going to get defeated, probably, most likely, definitely, they're going to have to. The Gatewatch is going to end up disbanding, because they've been around too long. But I think it's just a mistake going back to Ravnica. It's too soon, and we're going back with Jace, who was always there. It's just a mistake. Alright, let's get back to going to this stuff. Next card is Shield of the Realm. 2 generic mana for an artifact equipment, which is if a source would deal damage to a creature, prevent 2 of that damage. Equip 1. Volduck again. Equip him with that. Sorry, my throat's getting dry. Yeah, equip Volduck with that. I mean, we're going to want to attack with him. And this here helps prevent 2 of the damage that they could deal, which means they have to block with more if they want to kill him or deal more damage or something. The next card is Vanguard Shield, which is 2 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +0/+3 and can block an additional creature equipped for 3. Odds are, if you don't equip Shield of the Realm to Volduck, and you equip it to another creature, I really recommend you equip Vanguard Shield to anything you equip with Shield of the Realm, because then you can block an additional creature, and you can prevent, technically, total of 4 damage from both of the 2 stuff. So it just really helps settle it off. Like, equip it to that elephant, make it a 3/8 with can block 2 creatures, and for both those creatures prevent total 4 damage technically to it. Next card is Sylvuck Lifestaff, which is 1 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0. Whenever equipped creature is put into a graveyard, you gain 3 life. Equip for 1. Sorry, I'm trying to keep from hacking and coughing and all that. This card you're going to want to equip to the Volduck again, because you're going to be attacking a lot. And eventually they're going to kill him off, because he's going to become a very big threat. So they're going to try to kill him off. So that this way he at least gets a buff from this. And whenever it's put into... Then when he dies, you at least gain 3 life from it. Not to mention with Danitha, this actually costs 1 to cast. I mean, actually costs none to cast. So technically, you equip it for only 1. So no mana cost to that. Jousting Lance, you pay 2 for artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 as long as your turn equipped creature has first strike. You pay 3 to equip. Not bad. I really like this, and I really like the artwork on this. It's Bard Battle Gear. It's 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment with equipped creature gets +4, -1, equip for 2. So with Danitha out, you pay 4 total to cast and equip then. It's not bad. And next artifact is Bone Splitter. It's 1 generic for an artifact equipment with equipped creature gets +2/+0. You pay 1 to equip. Really good. It's not overpowered, but it's really decent and good. I mean, 2 mana for a +2/+0. Okay, so the next card is another living weapon which helps offset our creature stuff, which is Flare Husk, which is 1 generic mana. Yeah, it's really beat up as an old card, and it's the only one I have, so. But the back is still good, so it's playable. It's just the front that's beat up and all that. I got it from a friend like this. It's 1 generic mana for an artifact equipment, living weapon. You guys know, again, equipped creature gets +1/+1. You can pay 2 to equip. Yeah. Now, I do want to recommend just use these germ tokens just to chump block, because when they die, because if you try to re-equip your weapon, they're 0/0s, so they'll die as soon as you take the equipment off. So the next card is Nuruk Hover Cell. It's 1 generic mana for an artifact equipment, which is equipped creature has flying. You pay 2 to equip. Equip it to Jor Kadeen. I mean, give him unblock, give him flying so you can deal commander damage. I mean, we're going to have plenty of artifacts, so he's going to deal like 8 commander damage, possibly 9. And no telling what else you've equipped him with. I mean, give him double strike, and if he's a 9/5 from him and that other card, I mean, and who knows what else. I mean, if you can get him up to 11, that's like death in the air. He has to be killed or blocked, or commander damage will kill someone. So, yeah. Or equip it to Volduck. I mean, at least then he can deal a lot of damage because he's equipped and enchanted so much. He's really powerful. Give him flying. Next card is Horned Helm. It's 2 generic mana for an artifact equipment with an equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample. You can pay 1 to equip. Alright, so the next card is Bonesaw. It's 0 for an artifact equipment. With equipped creature gets +1/+0, you pay 1 to equip. Really cheap to equip as well. Heavy Mattock. It's 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment. With equipped creature gets +1/+1. As long as equipped creature is human, it gets an additional +1/+1. Equip for 2. So equipped creature, so we have lots of humans in this deck, so equipped creature's gonna, not lots, but you're gonna want to equip it to like one of those legendaries, and all of them except for SRAM are humans, so it's not one of the best. I kind of wish it would have, for total of 5 mana, 3 to cast, 2 to equip. I wish it would have given, like, if it's a human, it gets like First Strike or something. Spider Silk Net. It's 0 to cast, artifact equipment with equipped creature gets +0/+2 and has reach. Equip for 2. Yeah, equip this along with the Vanguard Shield and the Sword of the Shield of the Realm. I mean, with all 3 of these equipped to like that elephant, he becomes a 3/5 with reach, and he prevents 2 damage for whenever if a source would deal damage to him, prevent 2 damage. Able to block 2 creatures, so that's a 3/10 with reach, so able to block flyers as well. And pretty much it would take something if you block 2 creatures, they would both have to have power together that would equal at least 14 damage to kill them. And that's if you chose to block 2 creatures. So that's very good and very useful. And I mean, you could always just buff his power as well, so then he becomes something even deadlier. Next card is Witch's Eye. It's 1 generic mana for an artifact equipment, which has equipped creature has pay 1 tap, scry 1, equip for 1. It just gives us some card advantage. Next card is Haunted Cloak. 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment, which has is equipped creature has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste, equipped for 1. Gotta love the Vigilance. I mean, so with Dantha out, that's just 3 mana to play and equip. Next card is Spectre's Shroud, which is 2 generic mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card from his or her hand. Equipped for 1. No telling what creature you're going to equip it to and what they have equipped to them. I mean, no telling. I mean, it definitely could be a creature that's going to deal damage no matter what. So, next card is Avacyn's Collar. It's 1 generic mana for an artifact equipment, which is equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has Vigilance. Whenever equipped creature dies, if it was a human, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token flying onto the battlefield, equipped to. Again, equip it to Volduck. 1, it buffs his power as well, and gives him Vigilance, so we can feel free to attack and still be able to block. Not to mention he's a human, so when they finally decide to block him and kill him, or find a way to kill him, we still get another body that has flying, which we can then equip stuff to. The next card is Hero's Blade, which is 2 generic mana for an artifact equipment. We're running in here because we have 5 legendaries, which is equipped creature gets +3/+2. Whenever a legendary creature enters battlefield under your control, you may attach Hero's Blade to it. Equipped for 4. Odds are we're going to play this for 2 if it's in our beginning hand, and wait for Jor Kadeen, the Prevailer, to come out to equip it then. Because then he comes out and he gets +3/+2, making him an 8/6. Then odds are by the time he comes out, we're going to have 2 other artifacts on the field, activating his Metalcraft ability, then making him an 11/6. See what I'm talking about? Like I said, then give him flying and double strike. Or heck, just give him flying and let him attack twice. It's game there. The next card is just a regular old artifact. We're done with the equipments. It's Urza's Tome. It's 2 generic mana for an artifact with pay 3, tap, draw a card, then discard a card unless you exile a historic card from your graveyard. That's largely in there for if one of our legendaries dies, we don't really have a way of getting them back. Or for if they start destroying all our artifacts and equipments and stuff, it just gives us the ability to be able to exile them and then get some card drawing advantage. Next card, now we're just into the last little bit of our stuff. It's Kami of False Hope. He's a white for a 1/1 spirit with sacrifice him. He prevents all sacrifice Kami of Hope, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. He's just there as an extra body and as a way to prevent damage, to keep from some fatal damage from happening, for 1 mana as well. So it's basically a white version of Fog, but on a stick. Next card is Nahiri's Machinations. It's a white and 1 generic mana for an enchantment, which it has at the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Pay a red and 1 generic. It deals 1 damage to target blocking creature. We play it for the indestructible. I mean, give our commander, give Volduck indestructible, something like that. So then we can attack with immunity, whatever. Next card is Harmless Assault, which is 2 white, 2 generic mana for an instant, which is prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn by attacking creatures. Which means we can block them, which means we play that when they attack us, expecting us to block and lose a lot of our creatures. We play this, their creatures won't deal damage to ours or to us as a player, and we can block them with ours and kill off theirs if we have the ability to. So yeah, it really just helps with that stuff and all that. So the next card we have here is Rally the Righteous. It's a red and white and 1 generic for an instant with Radiance. Untap target creature and each other creature that shares a color with it. Those creatures get +2/+0 until end of turn. Largely you would play that on Jor Kadeen, you would attack, and then if, say, your opponents didn't choose to block, or they did with something that has high toughness, you play that out, untap them all, and then buff them, put 2. Then we're into like our mana base, which is like Jeskai banner. We run it for the red and white Boros Signet. 1, 2 for an artifact. Pay 1, tap, add a white and a red to your mana pool. Ferocian Totem, 3 generic mana for an artifact. Tap, add a red or pay a red and 4 generic. It becomes a 4/4 red giant artifact creature with trample until end of turn. As long as it's a creature, it can block an additional creature. Boros Key Rune, 3 generic mana for an artifact. Tap for a red or white. You can pay a red or white. It becomes a 1/1 white soldier artifact creature with double strike until end of turn. The totem and the Key Rune just both help us offset our creature base. Gives us some extra blockers. So that we don't feel like we have to block with our actual creatures. Sorry about that. Next card we have here is Thunder Totem. It's 3 generic mana for an artifact, which is tap, add a white 2 mana pool, or pay 2 white, 1 generic. It becomes a 2/2 white spirit artifact creature with flying in first strike until end turn. Just offsets that again. And the only non-basic land we have in here is Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. First off, I really like the artwork in this. If you guys don't understand, this here is supposed, in the storyline, this here is supposed to be the 3 Eldrazi Titans that Nahiri, when they locked them away, she was talking to the Zendikar people, and she basically related them to gods. And so when she went away for a while, the stories twisted and changed, like, you know, gossip does, and each one became a god that they considered. They're like called Kazi. I can't remember Uldamogs, but each one here is supposed to represent. And if you look at them closely, you can kind of recognize the pieces to them. Anyways, it's for tap to add a colors to your mana pool, or tap to add 2 to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast colors spells. Activate this ability only if you control 7 or more lands. So pretty much, yeah. We run it in here. Then we run 15 plains and 15 mountains. And that's it, people. That is our Commander deck tech for Jor Kadeen. Yeah, it's not the best. It's not some super fancy one. Like I said, I don't go through and buy up all these super expensive stuff. Like the most expensive card I own is probably Nicol Bolas the God Pharaoh, and that's because I got him back when he was like at $6, and I traded him for like a Settle the Wreckage. So, and like a few other cards. So, yeah. So, like I always say, this stuff's always super budget. You could probably make this deck for like less than 20 bucks, I'd probably say. Probably the most expensive card is the actual commander himself, or maybe Shram. Shram may be expensive. It's probably one of those legendary creatures, but nothing in there is really all that super expensive. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of these budget stuff, because I don't go online searching up cards to put in a deck. I really don't do that. So just so you'll know, I don't go search up card lists and then use them to make my stuff look good. Because if I did that, you should know, because if I did that, these decks would be a lot better. They would work better for themselves. And I do it because I have cards that, these are cards that I have. I'm never going to really use, I'm never going to make like a deck and throw up a picture of something if I don't have the card. If I ever figure out how to put pictures up. I'm going to actually have the card, which is one of the reasons why I show you the physical card I have in my hand. Yeah, it's not that good, and quality's not that good, and it'd probably be better if I just threw up an actual picture, which I'm still working on figuring out, and I want to do, but I still want to show you guys that I'm not using cards that are like super hard to like go and actually get. That like you have to pay like $20 for a single card for. I mean, pretty much if you were to go out and buy like a make a deck of like say some super fancy really good commander deck and buy the cards for it like on these budget sites, you'd probably be able to actually, if you were to like buy all the cards for one of those for like $40, you could probably make 2 to 3 or 4 of my commander decks that I've already done commanders over. You could probably actually go out and buy the individual cards for all the commander decks I've already done, because I've only done like 2 or 3, maybe 4. So yeah. So when I say this stuff is budget, it's budget. It's not like, because I think maybe, I don't think it would even reach $20. I think tax would be what would kill you on it. I mean, really, I think that's the only reason why this stuff would go so up high in the price to even hit $20 or more, because tax would kill you on it. Because I'm not gonna like, I want to make a deck that like, I do these decks as a way that anyone can do them. I don't want to make a deck that if someone's watching this, they have no chance of ever making themselves because they don't have the money to afford it or the way to get those cards. I don't do that because I'm one of the people, I'm one of the just regular generic Magic players who plays for fun. And I don't want to sit here and search up cards. And it frustrated me because for a while I was wanting to make some good decks. And I was like, budget decks, because I was expecting to find stuff for like 10, 15, $20. No, the minimum were like 30, 40, $50. I'm like, these aren't budget. And like I even typed in budget $20 commander decks, and it's like, no. Like you don't find, like when people put stuff up there, they don't do them like super cheap budget. Like not like what a regular person would want to do. And a lot of these people are like, and a lot of these expensive decks are like, that are $30. It's like they're only $30 because there's like 3 or 4 cards in there that are like $5 or $10 a piece. Occasionally there's like only 1 or 2 that are expensive, but they're like $15 a piece, like 10, $15 a piece, making like a 30 deck. The rest of the cards, aside from 2 cards, are all like super cheap. Then you're paying for 2 cards that are like $10 a piece. I mean, at least like in relation to those 2 cards, you could build one of my decks. So that kind of annoys me because I mean, it's like, how are you supposed to do this if you don't have the money to do this? I mean, not all of us are made of money or go to these tournaments and stuff. So a lot of us just want to play for fun. So I try to make my decks so that like anyone can make them. That you don't have to be super, that odds are, because I mean, if you want to do a budget deck, I mean, you could easily go in and look at these cards that have like only 2 cards in them that are super expensive, but I mean like they're super expensive. And normally they're super expensive because every deck like that's running them. And it's like, come on, just like switch them out for something that does kind of the same thing, but for more of a mana cost, and it's like half the price. It drops the price like 10, $15 down just to switch out 2 of them with something that's cheaper. Which, I mean, of course you can just look at them and just go through cards that do the same thing and then change it up yourself. But a lot of the times they make their decks so that if you want this kind of deck to work, you have to buy those super expensive cards because those are like some linchpins in it that keep it working, which really annoys me. Because Magic's not supposed to be a kind of game that's for like people who have money to spend and to like, who have money to basically buy an entire store worth of cards. It's not a game for that. And then it aggravates me because then if you sit down and play with someone and they pull out this deck that's like $300, $400, and then they kick your butt in turn 2 or 3 and they're laughing at you, making fun of you because you play tabletop or you play casually and you don't have these expensive cards because you can't afford to buy them all. it aggravates me because they're like, oh, you have a sucky deck, you should do this. Well, I can't because I don't have the money. I mean, and yeah, I understand like they paid for it and all that stuff, it's their thing, but still, I feel that a budget deck should be a budget deck. That it shouldn't be something that you still have to pay more than you would for like one of these decks for. And like, if you guys want to go out and get that stuff, feel free. Feel free. I'm not like bad mouthing it like that. Like, you guys can do what y'all want. For me personally, I prefer to go in my own collect into stuff that I've pulled from packs or I've traded. Like, I occasionally buy cards, but I only buy them as like commanders. Like Jor Kadeen, I bought him for like maybe $1 with tax from Amazon and use him. So like, and Kresh, he's maybe the most expensive commander I've actually bought, and he was like $3 for his foiled and not like from the vault version, which is the only reason why. And actually, his non-foiled original version was actually more than he was. So, yeah. Sorry, I kind of got on a rant, but like, yeah, I'm fine with people buying stuff. It's just individual cards and stuff, but it's like, there's got to be a way for those of us who don't have the money, or who can't afford to pay like $100 for a deck, or even 50 or 40, because we don't need to. Because I mean, if it comes down to like paying $40 for a deck, I'd rather just go buy $40 worth of packs and open those, and hope I get something good, or try get something I can make another deck out of. I mean, I'd rather buy cards from packs and hope to get like some super expensive card from a pack, an unopened pack, than go out and buy these individual cards that are like the equivalent of what could be like 300 to 400 individual cards. So yeah, that's my little rant. Thanks for listening. Hit the like button, comment, subscribe, whatever. Thanks for watching, and I enjoy talking. You guys are going to have to deal with me talking like that every now and then, especially since it seems like I'm getting a little better at the commander videos, because like the first commander video I did took almost an hour to do. Now this one here got to like 40 something minutes. So they're getting a little not as long to do. Like, I'm not stuttering as much. I'm talking maybe a little more clearly, and I'm not saying yeah. So I feel like I'm getting a little more comfortable doing these. And honestly, this here actually helps relax me, and I just enjoy doing these. So thank y'all for those of you who watch, thank you for watching. For those of you who just glance at the video, thank you for glancing. Thanks for if you got to the end of this, thank you, because it is now almost an hour-long video of like, what, 15 minutes of me just talking. But yeah, I enjoy doing these. So thank you. Have a good day.